And wherever you live, I hope you watch that girl. In color. Or black and white. I just want you to watch.
Welcome to MsMojo, and for this list we'll be looking at sitcom characters who were groundbreaking or controversial for their era.
Jodie, how many times do I have to tell you to leave my things alone?
Mother.
Look at that! My wig, my necklace, my best dress.
Number 10, Beverly Lau, All in the Family. Popularizing the archetype of the lovable bigot, All in the Family's Archie Bunker was noticeably dumb about a lot of things. In one episode, after he saves a woman's life in his taxicab, Archie is shocked to discover Beverly is a drag performer.
I will just say thank you, miss, unless you girls like to be called Ms.
Why don't you call me Mr.?
What starts off as a joke at his expense soon becomes something kind of revolutionary for American TV. Although not a series regular, Beverly became a good friend to Archie's accepting wife, Edith.
You're the only one that's like family.
I love you, Edith. To me, you're like a sister.
Oh, Beverly.
Beverly's death as a result of a homophobic attack in a later episode shook the devoutly Christian Edith's faith. Though it might seem dated today, the humanity the writers and cast gave the character was something rarely seen on American primetime TV.
Beverly was killed because of what he was. And we're all supposed to be God's children. It don't make sense.
Number 9, Ellen Morgan, Ellen. Where other sitcom heroines were concerned with finding eligible men to date, Ellen Morgan didn't seem to have any interest. Of course, the reason for that are a bit more obvious now.
I'm an idiot.
No.
I feel like I've crossed a line.
No. A line? What's a line? You know, just the shortest distance between 2 points, which is from here to the door, which is where I'm going to go.
If this weren't against the grain enough for the time, Ellen DeGeneres and her co-writers decided to have her character come out in a 2-part episode. She made the announcement alongside numerous guest stars, including Laura Dern playing her love interest and Oprah as her therapist.
Be who I am. I'm 35 years old. I'm so afraid to tell people. Susan, I'm gay.
Gay characters leading shows was not exactly commonplace yet, but this became a media frenzy. The ensuing controversy saw advertiser pushback, bomb threats, and even death threats against DeGeneres.
Weight has been lifted off of me, you know? For the first time in my life, I feel comfortable with myself.
Ellen, that is wonderful.
Number 8, Tom and Helen Willis, the Jeffersons. George and Louise Jefferson represented a whole new idea of what black characters on television could be. Right alongside them were Tom and Helen Willis, their neighbors and future in-laws.
What matters is not what passes across our minds, it's how we live our lives together. Baby, we've been doing that pretty good.
Damn good.
The Jeffersons, a spin-off of the aforementioned All in the Family, was actually the first sitcom to regularly feature a married interracial couple in its cast. To put it into perspective, the Willises were on TV less than a decade after the Loving v. Virginia decision was handed down by the Supreme Court.
Good morning. Good morning, party goers.
Good morning.
The next time we have a child, make it a quiet one, huh?
The show didn't present the Willises without any complications, though. George Jefferson frequently got his digs in at the couple, and a lot of the conflict between the characters had to do with their status as an interracial couple.
I don't know, I never noticed.
I knew we're here because we're just like them, huh?
That's wrong, you ain't nothing like them. He's black and she's white.
Number 7, Dorothy Zbornak, Rose Nyland, Blanche Devereaux, and Sophia Petrillo, the Golden Girls. Long before Sex and the City featured frank sexual discussions between friends, the Golden Girls were showing that age was nothing but a number.
I do love the rain so. It reminds me of my first kiss.
Your first kiss was in the rain.
No, it was in the shower.
What appealed to NBC executives and audiences alike at the time was that the girls didn't sound like anything or anyone else on TV at the time. These women were not trying to be trendy. They were honest, had goals, and were allowed to have romantic lives well into their 50s and beyond, an age demographic that the TV universe of the era was not serving at all.
In this day and age, it might be a good idea to take along some protection.
What kind of protection?
2 armed Pinkerton guards.
Not only was its premise racy for the time, but the show dealt with hot-button topics with sensitivity, respect, and most importantly, humour.
Excuse me? I had about 56 boyfriends. Of course, that was before I knew Charlie. I probably would have had more, but I wasn't allowed to start dating till I was a senior.
Number 6, Benson Dubois, Soap. Actor Robert Guillaume had reservations about playing a wisecracking butler who clearly hates the family he works for.
Mr. Tate hates fish.
I know.
Well, then why are you making it?
Because I like fish more than I like Mr. Tate.
It was actually the kind of character he had vowed not to play. However, the character featured on the groundbreaking sitcom Soap was incredibly well written and developed, not framed by the stereotypes of servant characters. Despite his job, Benson did not suffer the foolishness of his employers, but he certainly wasn't heartless either. If anything, he was the most clear-headed character on the entire show.
My son, my son, my son! This is my job, Turkey!
The laughs were never at Benson's expense. The character was such a breath of fresh air, he received his own eponymous spin-off that lasted longer than the original show.
Benson, get out of here.
What, John? Oh, no, I couldn't possibly. It's the governor's plan. No, I can't present it. Well, all right, if you insist.
Number 5, Anne-Marie, That Girl. The Mary Tyler Moore Show is famously credited with being one of the first shows to feature an unmarried woman making it on her own.
Would you try answering the questions as I ask them?
Yes, Mr. Grant, I will, but it does seem that you've been asking a lot of very personal questions that don't have a thing to do with my qualifications for this job.
But Anne-Marie of That Girl was charming TV audiences a good 4 years before Mary Richards made her debut. Marlo Thomas played the plucky, aspiring actress who was trying to make it on her own in New York.
Those weren't guys, those were actors.
What?
Yes, we were shooting a commercial when who comes charging into the scene like...
Captain Dum-Dum.
While awkward young female heroines are way more prevalent in TV now, Anne-Marie's social dysfunction and quirkiness was fresh and new when the show premiered. Anne-Marie was imperfect, and it's precisely why she became a role model.
Not so fast. Do you promise to love, honor, and cherish me as long as I love, honor, and cherish you?
I do.
I now pronounce us boy and girl.
Number 4, Maude Finley, Maude. Long before Murphy Brown angered conservatives just for being a single mother, the show Maude, another All in the Family spin-off, made the brave choice of having its lead character choose to terminate a pregnancy.
I think it would be wrong to have a child at our age.
Oh, so do I, Walter. Oh, Walter, so do I.
For this episode alone, Maude Finley was a TV groundbreaker. The character was first developed as the counterpoint to the bigoted, Nixon-loving Archie Bunker.
You're in my chair, Maude. So? I want to sit in my chair. Oh? You gonna get out of my chair? No!
As played by B. Arthur, the middle-aged, ultra-liberal and sharp-tongued New Yorker was determined to stand apart and sometimes above the world around her. That, of course, didn't mean she was immune from making some mistakes of her own. Despite her staunch character, Maude was also as complex and neurotic as anyone could be.
You really are a comfort.
Number 3, Julia Baker, Julia.
I'm sorry Dr. Chigley can't see you today. Why don't you try us again, sometime in the next week or so?
You need all the light you can get, Mr. Galton.
After several successful performances on stage and on film, Diane Carroll made television history when she was cast as Julia Baker, a middle-class, single mother and professional living in the suburbs. Julia was the first series to portray an African-American lead in a non-domestic worker role.
Mama, do you have to get a job?
Oh, darling, if we want to stay in this nice apartment, I do, yes.
I like California.
Besides, when you start school, I'll be lonesome.
The series follows a widowed nurse named Julia Baker as she is left to raise her young son on her own. Although there were watershed moments, the character predated the middle-class families of the Jeffersons and The Cosby Show, and had a big influence in representation, even if it was a show with a generally light, humorous tone.
I love you, Corey. You're the only man I've got.
Don't worry, Mama. We'll find you another.
Number 2, Jodie Dallas. Soap.
Thought of wearing it belted. It looks much better that way.
Sure, it breaks up the straight line here, then you just blouse it slightly at the waist.
Back to soap. Not only did creator Susan Harris write one of the first gay regular characters on an American sitcom, she didn't leave anything up for interpretation. Billy Crystal played Jodie Dallas, an out, unapologetically gay man contemplating gender-affirming surgery and dating a closeted football star.
I don't want the responsibility. I mean, what if it didn't work out between us? If I left you? I mean, you'd be stuck being a woman and I'd feel awful.
Oh, no, you wouldn't. You'd be dead.
While some of his storylines definitely wouldn't fly today, the character was a pioneer in a primetime landscape that usually saw LGBTQ+ characters as one-off plot devices. That's not to say the show didn't make a few jokes at his expense. Frankly, the show made every single person in the cast look ridiculous, except Benson, of course.
Benson, this is all wrong. The avocado and the shrimp should not be separated. The shrimp should go in the avocado.
Here, Tinkerbell, stuff it.
More often than not, the writers made a case for Jodie's humanity and decency even when the world was against him.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Number 1, Lucy Ricardo, I Love Lucy. Given how Lucy Ricardo set the standard for American TV comedy heroines, how could she not be ahead of her time?
Da-da-da-da-da-da! Philip Morris, America's most enjoyable cigarette, presents the Lucy Ricardo Show! Da-da-da-da-da-da!
Lucy was not the dutiful, traditional sitcom housewife who subtly outmaneuvered her husband without his knowledge. She didn't subtly do anything. Anytime she tried to be secretive, she ended up making a huge, hilarious mess out of it. And she wasn't only content with home life. The show's most memorable episodes involve her getting a job of her own, or trying to sneak her way into her husband Ricky's nightclub act.
Listen, Ethel, I think we're fighting a losing game.
Just as I Love Lucy invented many of the modern sitcom scenarios, Lucy Ricardo is proof that if you make people laugh hard enough, you can get away with a lot. Who's your fave sitcom character? Tell us in the comments.
You're okay, little brother.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from MsMojo. And be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.